Better there.
I can't hear Mark.
Oh, he's muted. Hey, Mark, you're muted.
First day on the job.
I try to unmute him. It won't let me.
It's live, too.
Yeah. Mark, we can't hear you.
All right, take two. Welcome to the Voice of College Football, Nebraska Cornhuskers live. And let's get right to it. It's been one of those days. We got Tony White sticking around. So he's not off to Syracuse or anywhere else. And he's going to make a little bit more money, Greg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a heck of a deal for him, right? Just like Coach Rule said, that he'll have those same opportunities again next year. But he's done a fantastic job and is now making more money than anybody else at his position. So, yeah, 1.6 mil. It's a nice day at the bank. So, he's done such a great job. He really has.
Mm-hmm.
And it just shows how much Trev Alberts appreciates the work that he did this year and, how they built this defense into one of the top squads in the country. So,
yeah, I think I saw something saying like he's now the highest paid coordinator in Nebraska history, which would make sense.
Correct.
And part of the reason like I expected him to stay is a guy like him. I don't know if he's going to move laterally. I think he's in a good position now where he can, work for a head coaching spot, and that's going to be on the table. That's in the next year or couple of years. He's probably going to get offers for that. So,
well, it's just like his boss told him, wait for the good job. Don't just take one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And obviously Syracuse had already gone after their guy. And
USC seemed to have something else in mind.
Well, USC was looking at him as their defensive coordinator.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But San Diego State is not the right type of job, even though he spent time there.
Yeah.
They just don't have the support system that you can be successful with. So.
Yeah. Funny, there was a joking post on Twitter earlier that tricked a few of us, and it said they were hiring Bob Diaco as their defensive coordinator.
Oh boy,
which would have been fantastic for the rest of the Big Ten. That would have been great.
You get to watch him run sprints with the team.
Simulated tackling, two-hand touch. No.
He was a unique character to have around.
Oh yeah. Not in a good way, that's for sure.
Apparently he was at the country club where my boss goes to, and we were actually out covering, I think, some satellite camps or something, and my boss's wife called him and showed him a picture of him coming into the pool wearing a white captain sailor outfit with a sailor's cap and everything.
Not surprised that dude's out there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move, Mark. I'll move you back to your rightful spot. There you go.
All right. So obviously the defense did its job this year with under White's direction, 14th in the country in total defense.
Yep, he was. It's just crazy what he was able to do. What the defense had last year. So and there was a big push from USC thinking that legitimate shot and that he was just the news this morning is just massive.
We've got a reverb going.
Yeah, sounds weird.
We're getting your point twice. Now we're getting mine twice.
I'll back out and back in.
Okay. So anything? Now we're still getting it. I don't know what's going on there.
On me?
I think StreamYard gave us audio.
No, you're still messed up.
Yeah, no. It went away and then
It
came
was
back.
a real good watch today.
Let me see if I mute one person, if that. So if I mute Greg,
It's
so I guess
on.
either
Yeah.
Greg needs to be muted or just somebody needs to be muted. Well, it's still coming through.
Was it? I think it's gone when we mute Greg.
No, it's not. I muted him.
So try it again. When you
Test 1, 2, 3.
unmutes,
Test
it
1,
comes
2, 3.
back. When it unmutes, it comes back. So unmute him real quick.
Just leave.
And then it. Yep.
Why is he leaving?
I don't know.
Okay.
All
right.
Yep. So, anyways, I'm sorry. This gave us audio issues last time. StreamYard is notorious for doing this. I don't know why it's sabotaging our streams, but
I don't know.
So we don't
have the time about that. I'm not having issues with any other shows, and I sure do a zillion of them.
Yeah. It's weird. Anyways, yeah, back to the Tony White stuff. Yeah, that was huge, but bigger news too, like all the conversations about the QB position and stuff like that, and based off of what Matt Rule said in the press conference about them costing $1 million to $2 million. Sounds better now, Greg.
Yep.
We're good. Cool.
See, I was the problem.
Well, your systems were the problem, not you. We enjoy your bright smiling face.
Glad somebody does.
Yeah, Greg, did you want to? I don't know if you wanted to go over Matt Rule's press conference notes a little bit and elaborate more on what he was talking about, the QB stuff.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you kind of heard the same thing out of him that he's been saying all year, is that he likes the guys that he has in his room.
Mm-hmm.
And, obviously he's not going to tell somebody to get into the portal and leave. But I mean, it's pretty obvious to everybody is that you got to go in there and look into the portal and see what you can get. And right now, the speculation is Nebraska could probably take their pick of whoever they wanted. And, it made national headlines, when he said getting a transfer quarterback is, $1 million to $2 million investment.
Yep.
So,
but
I think, he's not a dummy. He's just, he's always stood up for his guys, and, he's not trying to berate anybody.
Yep.
He was asked specifically about Jeff Sims, and, he kept going back on saying how much of a great person he is. And,
he protects his players a lot.
Yeah.
I've noticed that. He gives a lot of information, but he really is careful about protecting the players.
Yeah, he's not going to say anything bad about somebody. And, he was like, he even said that he thought that there was they could have helped him out a little bit better too.
Yeah.
Dealing with his problems.
Yep.
But obviously when you turn the ball over like that, you're hurting your team, and you got to find somebody else out there that's not going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and another big thing is too that, it's not easy to get a transfer portal quarterback to come in right away and really be that game changer.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you look at the guys now that are doing it, Michael Penix, Bo Nix. They've had a couple of years in that system to be able to perform like they're performing now. So, but yeah, obviously, you do have all three of them eligible to come back. And, Chuba Purdy definitely looked pretty good there when he got a chance at the end of the year. And when they're healthy, who knows?
Yep.
But that Rule definitely supports them all and thinks they're good players.
Yeah. And he seemed to indicate that he doesn't necessarily want to go after a senior. It seems like he wants somebody he can bring in and develop, kind of like you were saying Oregon did with Bo Nix. And, so that takes a couple names off the short list, but the majority of names that like have been floating around are, of course, Will Rogers. There's a few names. So we had Riley Leonard was another one. Max Johnson were a couple that went in the portal. And so like it seems like Will Howard, Grayson McCall have been the top two names floating around. Cam Ward, actually, interesting enough, 2 hours ago, they posted Cam Ward, an interview they did with Cam Ward, and he indicated that Nebraska was on his short list as well because they recruited him before. So that's another interesting name. One of them that I was thinking about that would be, I feel like he fits almost the Jeff Sims mold that they wanted, but he's a little bit further along as a passer, still has fumbling issues, is KJ Jefferson. Just a big body guy who can run, 19 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. It makes sense. It seems to fit the style. He's at 64% completion percentage, and they were aiming for Jeff Sims around 65%. Yeah, he had 25 fumbles, but I think when they have less things to worry about as far as advancing him as a quarterback, they can then focus more on coaching ball security and stuff like that. So I don't think you're going to get a perfectly polished player across the board. And so, yeah, KJ Jefferson just seemed interesting to me, and it wasn't a name that was getting thrown out. So
if they get KJ Jefferson,
he would probably be a 1.5 million.
He would be their best quarterback that they've had since, I don't know when.
Yeah.
15 years ago.
Plus. I don't think it's likely. It's an interesting name that I thought of fits.
And KJ Jefferson played in a very dysfunctional situation this past year. They were just bad all over the place, and he lost his best running back, Rocket Sanders. But shoot, last year, KJ Jefferson, you figure Jaden Daniels may win a Heisman Trophy, and most preseason lists had KJ Jefferson and Jaden Daniels pretty much neck and neck. 2022, 68%, 24 touchdowns, 5 picks, and he ran for over 600 yards and 9 touchdowns. He accounted for 34 touchdowns, 5 picks, 68% passer.
Yep. Yeah.
Bottom line, it's got to be the right fit.
Yep.
I mean, the guy's got to fit into what they want to do, and he's got to fit in with the culture that Matt Rule preaches. So,
yep.
It's easy to throw out names, but yeah, I mean, you've seen people come into new systems and not get along, with the coaching philosophy and everything, and then it all flounders. And,
yep.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yep. And
but
then,
like I said, it looks like they really have their pick of who they want.
Yeah.
If they want to go that way. So
yeah. And another thing that he of note that he mentioned is, we were supposed to have a quarterback coach, and Satterfield wasn't supposed to coach the quarterback. He's supposed to be the tight end coach, and he ended up kind of being stuck because I think and I heard this somewhere, like, of course, the Jake Peets bringing him on as a QB coach was a big conversation, and then it's kind of a big blow, and they didn't bring him on. And so I think that kind of threw everything off, and then Satterfield just took over the coaching of the QBs. So that's also going to make a huge difference. How about moving him over to just specifically tight ends coach and having a dedicated QB coach come in and be able to work with these guys? I think that was a huge blow last year and what we were missing. Just somebody to really sit there. And he also mentioned Harburg in 2022. Greg, I don't know if you know why this is the case, but they said Harburg wasn't even allowed in the meetings last year, the QB meetings. Is there?
Yeah, no. I mean, to start spring ball off, the first question asked was, "Are you switching positions?"
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, no, he under the old staff, he was not, part of that room. That's pretty much. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Well, they were trying him out at tight ends and wide receivers and stuff like that. So
yeah, and it seems like Matt Rule's keyed in on developing him more as a QB. So.
I'm looking at this list of transfers, and most of them are graduate transfers because that's the only group of players that have officially been able to enter the transfer portal until Monday. Now there's been players that have gone out and have made a statement on social media to say that they will be entering the transfer portal, but all of these guys would be a either significant or a no doubt improvement upgrade. All of these guys, like 15 of them.
Without question. It's
you got to understand too that right now Nebraska's over their scholarship limit, so you've got to be pretty picky and choosy with what you're doing.
Yeah, then we got 80.
Not a lot of indication that a lot of guys are going to get in the transfer portal that are on the current roster at this point either. So it's a delicate match game going on right now with what you can add and spread around and get under that 85-man roster cap.
Yeah, because we're around 98 or 100.
Yeah, I mean you're way over right now. So.
Yep. And then they still
and then try to still honor, your scholarship offers to all your incoming high school players.
And then they also have a couple more guys coming in to visit over the weekend. I believe it was Xander, the offensive lineman, Xander Rogelari and Dylan Riley from Rancho Verde, running back. It seems, I think those guys are coming in this weekend, are they? And so there's still a couple of potential adds to the 2024 class. And then, there was 24, 25 freshmen on the roster this year. And it's seeming like they're, he's very big, Matt Rule, and he's showing proof is in the pudding that he really likes to go after these guys from high school more than the portal and develop them. So,
yeah, that's what he does.
Yep.
I will probably be making my harshest statement on this show if they don't add a transfer quarterback. That seems like the biggest. I don't care what their scholarship situation is. If they have to tell like 10 guys, you have to hit the portal.
May need two.
They have to get a transfer quarterback.
I think everybody knows that. Yeah.
Okay. We might need two. It wouldn't hurt to go get an extra guy at kind of a lower, that they can develop. If they do need to go after one of these, super seniors, maybe he then can go get a guy who's a little bit younger in the portal that he can develop and get kind of a little bit of both of what he's looking for. So, because
still goes back to money though, too. You can't get two guys like that. I mean,
well, I'm talking about lower tier.
Look at how much money Texas gave to Arch Manning, and he might not even be the starting quarterback there next year either. So, this is like it's turned into free agency and a big money grab now. That it's hard to try to do that two times, especially when you have an incoming freshman quarterback as well.
Yeah,
and you have three serviceable quarterbacks in the minds of college football coaches on your roster already. So there's not a lot of room, not a lot of leeway for doing something like that.
No, but at the same time, it's one of those cushions, and it doesn't have to be another $1 to $2 million guy. It can be somebody that's young that, Rule with his eye for talent can try to think maybe he can bring in and develop on top of one of those guys who is a senior. So it's just another thing that might be a cushion in case Sims transfers or anything like that. Just an extra pocket in case for the guys that may leave. But it's, of course, we need one for sure, but it wouldn't. All I'm saying is wouldn't hurt to have to, and because as we've seen, I'm not
sure of a lot of quarterbacks that are going to want to go in and compete when they brought in a number one guy, and then you got three other guys that have started college games already on the roster either. That's a big ask.
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation that they're in currently, and if it's a smaller school, maybe moving to a bigger school, developing under Matt Rule might be, interesting to them. So, and one thing too, I don't know y'all's take on this, but with the NIL, I think it's good and bad, right? I think the NIL is also, KJ Jefferson, for example, is weighing out transferring or going to the NFL draft, and so I think it's doing a lot for these quarterbacks for them to be able to, get paid and potentially make more money than they would go into the draft, and they could stay in college and up their draft stock. And that leaves more of these, high-level quarterbacks that enter the portal and stuff like that. So I think there's a good and a bad to it, of course. But
I mean, for example, there's plenty of guys in college making a lot more than Brock Purdy is right now.
100%. Yep.
So,
So if a guy is like projected a 6th-round pick and, he's coming in, can make $1 million as a transfer, stay an extra year, try to raise his draft stock. I think that's the one positive of the NIL stuff.
Yeah. So the NFL rookie minimum $750. The NFL player minimum's $870 after they've played at least a year. Yeah, when you're Brock Purdy, you get drafted last.
Yep. He's going to get a payday eventually, though.
Oh, yeah.
But
and could win a Super Bowl, while he's making a minimum wage NFL standards.
It's wild.
Yeah.
They better have some good bonuses in that.
Yeah, imagine if we would have been talking about this, I don't know, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that there would be college players making more than NFL players.
It's wild. It was foreign to think that the NCAA would ever allow it, and then to see what it's turned into, it's crazy, and it's just growing and growing. So,
and that's the beauty of Matt Rule too, because when he was an assistant coach in the NFL, all the players made more money than he did. When he was a head coach, most of the players were still making more than he did. So, he's all for kids getting their money. That's for sure.
Yep. It's wild too that the potential quarterback that we bring in might make more than Tony White's new contract. Just judging by how important he is to the team and the university, a quarterback coming in for a year might get paid more. It's just it's crazy to think about.
Hey, Runza and Valentinos have a bunch of money to burn. So
hey, I love me some Valentinos.
Appreciate those comments and questions coming in to the chat. Huskers Live, thanks for being flexible. That was all up to me in regards to us moving this week, and we will nail down a time here soon once again. But appreciate you being here again. Subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications. That way you never miss a show when we go live. Thanks for the sorry about the technical difficulties off the top. We're just kind of throwing it together today, but we're here and we're running down all the important news and notes.
Yep. Some other roster stuff too. And from the, the press conference and stuff over the week, Nick Henrich retiring from football. That's, best of luck to him, but he was a big piece. Marcus Washington potentially getting, what do they call it? A complicated waiver, Greg? Is that what it's called?
Well, trying to get another medical waiver.
Yeah, I think they called it like complicated. I never heard of that.
It's a complicated process with his status. So it's one that's going to be harder to get through, but they're working on it. So
quotes. Somebody said
it's not any other kind of difference between trying to get a waiver granted.
It's just
going to be harder to get done.
Oddly named.
But then, you got Ty Hahn going to go farm with his dad and get married. Yep. And then Blaze Gunnarsson basically retiring from football as well. So
yep. And then
which both guys walked on senior day as sophomores, with 2 years of eligibility left. So Yep. And I'm not sure if you have an update on Ben Hart, Corcoran, Ben Scott, Ramir Johnson, all trying to potentially come back. I know Ramir Johnson's basically confirmed he's coming back. Gabe Urban and Ramir Johnson are both planning to be back, as long as they're healthy and they get through rehab and everything.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect Ramir Johnson, as loyal as he's been to the program and as loyal as they've been to him through the injuries. He's not going anywhere. But yeah, I'm glad he confirmed that for sure. And Gabe Urban
dealing with injuries, is a tough thing for guys that age. So
so running back.
Right. So Turner Corcoran, I expect to enter the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Hart's coming back. So, along with, on the defensive line with Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmacher. So,
yep.
That's got a lot of poor guys coming back.
It's big time.
Yep.
Oh, I think Mark's muted again.
Trying to get rid of that echo.
Yeah. Are you still getting it?
What's that?
Are you still getting it?
Not hearing it.
Yeah, we were. That's why it muted me.
I wasn't hearing it.
Yeah, we had it.
You need to hire a new engineer.
Yeah, we need to do a lot of things. We're let's see, a couple of weeks away from National Signing Day. Let's see, 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Yep.
As of yesterday or Wednesday. As of Wednesday. Probably nothing new on that front. Greg, have you seen anything out there? Anything you're on?
Oh, they're still working on a couple of names. I mean, the big one they got the other day was Grant Bricks.
Oh, yeah.
One of the top offensive tackles in the country, which bumped up Nebraska to the 25th ranked recruiting class.
Oh, has that been since our last show?
Yeah.
Oh, we need to talk about Bricks then.
We talked about him last week, and he heard Greg. Greg was frustrated because he was taking too long, so he heard him on the show last week.
Yeah, he said he had to. Oh, I'm hearing that now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
He said that he was
so weird,
trying to get to the point where he wouldn't go to sleep and think about all 3 schools that he was down to, and then he finally was just thinking about Nebraska, and so that was time. So I don't know why it took him so long, but
he watched the show. He heard you.
I mean, he can walk here from his hometown.
Yeah. That's huge for the offensive line, because whatever quarterback comes in, or recruit, Daniel Kalen retweeted about that. So, Daniel Kalen QB got some protection. So,
well, see, that's the good thing too, is that he did establish a really good relationship with the other commits in the class.
Yeah.
I mean, Carter Nelson was one of the big guys that got him to pull the trigger. And it seems every year like that, you always have, one of those early commits takes a hold, takes the lead on recruiting other guys and keeping them all involved in a group text and everything. And
absolutely.
So they build those relationships before they even get to Lincoln. So just another example of that.
Absolutely.
I mean, Daniel Kalen's really taking a shine to doing that. Unfortunately, he didn't have the greatest of years, and I don't know what kind of a future he actually has here as a quarterback. But we'll see. Yeah,
because I think whenever Nebraska offered him, he immediately switched his commitment, right? So he was a kind of a Husker kid. He wanted to be here. So yeah, his peer recruiting on Twitter and stuff too is just excellent. Yeah.
Plus, it didn't hurt to have 2 wide receiver commits at his own high school.
Oh yeah.
It's either.
Yeah, there's some talent there in that connection.
Yeah, 2 4-star wide receivers. So.
Yep. And another point about Bricks too, because we talked this before the season about, I remember you said it too, Greg. You were a fan of Raiola and what he's doing and how the offensive line has improved, and that's another just feather in his cap to be able to land a recruit like Grant Bricks, who was the crown jewel of this class. What is he? The 5th ranked offensive tackle according to like the 24/7 composite. And
I think so, 3 has him number 7. But
number 7.
Neither here nor there.
Yeah.
He's up there.
He is. And so, yeah, just a massive get for the class. And it would have been a huge blow if they didn't get him. But
yeah, that's to your point, though. I mean, Donovan Raiola, you remember a year ago at this time, people were just up in arms with him.
Oh, yeah.
And even going into the spring and the fall camp, people were all, anti-offensive line in Nebraska, basically. And, they really quieted all that talk after the season unfolded. So,
yeah.
Donovan Raiola was a guy that was, didn't want to talk to you because he just thought you were going to say something bad about him. But I have not heard a single negative thing said about him, I think, since the season started, seriously. So,
yeah.
He's done a heck of a job. Really has.
I felt like a lot of people, like, I don't know, going into with the Dylan Raiola recruiting, I feel like a lot of fans were under the impression that he was retained to go push for Dylan Raiola. And I think a lot of fans switched on him after that didn't happen because they thought that was the only reason we retained him, and really just dismissed him as a coach and really what he was able to do and what he has done with this offensive line. So like you said, yeah, it's quieted a lot of that because people are starting to see.
And, we've mentioned too several times that, the change in style that, Nebraska adopted more of a Big Ten style of offense.
Yep.
Even though it didn't score a lot of points, but it was very run heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And, that just did wonders for the offensive line that he had. And, you got some pretty big guys on that line. I mean, even coming back, you got Bryce Benhart and Teddy Prohaska. They're 6'9" and 6'10". I mean, these guys walk off the bus and people are just like, oh, wow. Are those guys professional football players? Nope, not yet.
Yeah, seeing those guys next to Jeff Sims, who's 6'4", and they're towering over him. It's wild. And yeah, just credit to Raiola, because that's going to be super important. These guys, seeing them getting protection and this line improving.
And you only lose Ethan Piper and Nuri Newelli too. I mean, you got most of it all intact coming back. Ben Scott's coming back, has been a key cog in that offensive line this year. So, I mean, another year under Donovan Raiola with the group that's familiar with them should do wonders.
Yep.
And I guess you do lose Turner Corcoran. I didn't mention him, but yeah.
Having that experience though is really big for bringing in a guy like Grant Bricks. Those guys can kind of mentor him and lead him too, because our offensive line, those are solid dudes and great leaders on that offensive line. So that's going to be super important for him coming into.
It was pretty neat to see too on Senior Day last Thursday when Ethan Piper come out, being pushed in a wheelchair, and and then he's like, "Let's go!" and the guy takes off running with him.
Oh, that's funny. That's awesome.
He's like, "Yeah."
And how about that Iowa game?
Oh,
it was cold.
Brutal.
Yeah,
I wasn't cold.
Fun. It was not fun.
I thought when Tommy Hill made that pick, not that I thought it was one by any stretch. I know how this series has gone, and I know how it's gone, just games in general for both teams. So it's not like I thought that, but
you at least think you're playing for its overtime at the worst at that point.
Yes, exactly. You think that, and not that it doesn't happen. It seems like 90% of interception returns that there's a flag because defensive players don't know how to block.
That was so blatant. He was
riding them all the way across the field. That before that, he had set up some nice field position.
Yep. So. Those are those little mistakes, though. Those are the little things that keep Nebraska from that, paired with the interception, of course, but like that made it in that situation where we were having to throw the ball a little bit more downfield, whereas we were really close to field goal range right there, like you said, when Tommy Hill made the return. I know Alvana was kicking into the wind, so he would have had to get close, but I mean, you're not, it changes the whole play calling, and you're probably not throwing that interception if that hold doesn't happen.
Yeah, it was a hard pill to swallow for sure. I mean, to be in that position, and you blocked 2 kicks, blocked 2 field goals in that game.
Yep.
You had a lot of positives come out of that game.
Absolutely.
Jalen Lloyd again. Jalen Lloyd is tied with Marvin Harrison Jr. for the most 50-yard plus touchdowns.
It's crazy.
So you did see a lot of positives, and it's just another way that they find a way not to win in the fourth quarter that just breaks Husker fans' hearts. Yeah, that's what you got to work on. That's Matt Rule's like, you just got to keep getting a little bit better day by day and win those games in the fourth quarter. And the good thing is a lot of these young guys here, they're not used to it like the seniors and stuff that have, gone through their career without a bowl game opportunity and have been losing all these tight games, late in games. And to the young guys, it just kind of bounces off of them. It's like, well, look how close we were.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll just get a little bit better next year, and those games are ours. So.
Yep. And I'm not sure if this, I felt like this had something to do with it, but the interception was one thing, but then allowing the longest run of the game where they run the ball, with how many 17 seconds were left. They run the ball for 27 yards, their longest run of the day.
Yeah. I mean, totally out of character that, week in and week out, that defense bails you out.
Yeah.
Many times. And then unfortunately at that time, somebody missed an assignment and game over. So
and you got to think about it. Like you said, it was freezing cold, and the defense just got off the field. So they're thinking like, all right, like we're good. And then they have to come right back out there. It's really hard to just get back up in that momentum, and roll back out there. Just like, we haven't sat for a minute or so and got cold. I think that had a lot to do with it too, but
yeah.
I'd like to address this comment by Fang Wei. All right, let's set the record straight here. Tony White got extremely lucky. Well, nobody's getting lucky out there, but anyway, lucky as his defenses this year faced a lot of offenses without a pulse. They would have gotten boat raced by any Big 12 team. Okay, hang on just a second here. Yes, defenses in the Big 10 are really good, or you can take the flip side. Offenses in the Big 10 are really bad. I just posted a stat on Twitter a couple hours ago. Let's not compare the Big 12 and the Big 10.
Yeah.
The Big 10 is 5-5 against bowl teams, and the Big 12 is 1-5, and we could go on and on past that. So yes, you can go back and forth on whether it's the defense or the offense, but we know that the offenses are better in the Big 10 than you would think, because they have to face top level defenses. Maybe the defenses aren't quite as elite as we think they are because some of the offenses are challenged, but Nebraska would fare better in this Big 12 than in the Big 10.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got the Big 12 trying to win 40 to 38 games left and right. And what are they going to do when they get shut down and, have to kick 3 field goals to win a game? A lot of difference there.
Yep. And I see Fong Wei's next one where he says TCU says hello to last year's Big 10 champ. But if you remember, Michigan came out in that first half sluggish, and they just got down 3 or 4 scores, 3 or 4 touchdowns,
21-3.
And then they came back late, but it was just a little too late. But Michigan started to take over that game, by running the ball, playing the Big 10 football. It's just in that first half, they just came out flat and made a million mistakes. Played their worst half of the season that first half. Otherwise, Michigan, I believe, rolls TCU if they play 4 quarters.
And they were fueled by Thomas Fidoni's old quarterback, Max Duggan from Council Bluffs.
Yeah. Max Duggan, man. That was a name because I remember when he was recruiting there was a lot of interest in Nebraska. But yeah, and that was just a flash in the pan season for them. And it leveled out in the national championship game.
Oh, it leveled.
Colorado boat raced them.
It leveled flat.
Yeah, if I actually went probably below level. That was rough. Well, Michigan, they had our signs, so we're going to put an asterisk next to that one anyways. I want my refunds in the game.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Well, we will see someday.
Nebraska probably made about as they started that game about as bad as you could. What was it? An interception on the second play of the game.
Yeah, it was really
immediately scored. What's that?
It might have been the first play.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, and it just seemed they were going to have to play a perfect game to even be in that game, and just starting the game like that, I just feel like it took all the wind out of the sails. That place was quiet. The team just lacked energy. It was that was one of those aberration games. I feel like.
Yeah, you just went into it already defeated.
Yeah, I think you look at the rest of the season and you use that as a litmus test as to what this defense actually is, as opposed to looking at one game.
David C's going back to the Iowa game. Did we have issues with the officiating?
Yeah,
he brings up the Purdy play. Now, I thought that was a fumble.
It was. I think it came loose like a hair before he did the pitch, and I think they were right on that call.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it was the right call as well. But yeah, there was some pretty horrific calls. The last 2 games, Nebraska suffered from that, and Matt Rule asked several times over the course of the last 2 games about the officiating, and obviously he's not going to say anything derogatory, but they made their complaints and filed it with the Big Ten conference, and I do believe that they apologized for one of them.
The Big Ten officiating has been an issue, and it's progressively getting worse. But yeah, I mean that's all they'll do is apologize. There's no account. They're the one job that can be terrible at their job and never get fired.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it was in the game before. I think it was the Maryland game. I have footage of actual. It's a female referee that is physically pushing Matt Rule off of the field. I've never seen an official put their hands on a head coach like
crazy. That. If it happened the other way, they're out of the game. And fined.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, Matt Rule is not the kind of guy that likes to be shown upset and yelling and screaming, but I got some pretty good shots over the last couple of games.
Yeah, you can see the stress on his face sometimes when some of these calls happen, but
oh yeah.
Even the week before last, I feel was worse, but there were some questionable calls, but I feel like those were all overshadowed by that ending.
Yeah. No, and I don't, with never mind me's question there, I don't think there was ever any animosity between the offense and the defense. Those guys are all out to play for each other. They're all brothers across the board, and nobody wants to be that guy that lets the team down at any position. So no, yeah. I never got the sense of that at all.
No, yeah. I thought that was a problem in past years between the offense and the defense, but I feel like this year, I think he's got their heads on straight and they understand.
The culture is so much different this year than it's been in years past.
Absolutely.
It is a team that believes in each other and support one another 100%.
For sure.
Justin posted this poll the other day. Thoughts on the Nebraska football, trajectory after one full season under Matt Rule. Trending up, 69%. Trending down, very few, 3%. Undecided, still waiting to see, 21%. Cursed forever, 7%. I like the options there, Justin. 383 people took part. Folks, you can still jump on there and make your voice known.
I think it's pretty clear it's trending up.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the comments on there, one of the arguments that I see most against Matt Rule is they post his overall record, which is about 500 as a college coach. But, when you do that, you're looking at 5 seasons of rebuilding and 2 seasons of, 2 seasons at Baylor of rebuilding, 2 seasons at Temple at rebuilding, 1 at Nebraska. It's 5 years. And then 2 seasons of the final product. And him having a 500 record with that, 5 years of rebuilding versus 2 years of finished product, it shows a lot of good about him. I feel like that's an argument for him more than it is against him.
Absolutely. Hey, and don't try getting fired from the Carolina Panthers in the middle of the season. Don't hold that over him either, because they fire everybody during the season.
Yeah, and they've won 1 game this year. Look how much.
Yeah, their last 3 head coaches have been fired during the season now. So
that's an owner GM problem, not a coach problem.
Yeah.
And Matt Rule went in there and he had a 7-year plan. He told them that from the start, and I don't know why they expected anything different.
Yeah, I mean, he uses the same blueprint wherever he's at.
Exactly.
He's going to tell you exactly how it is. And,
did you say 7 years though?
I
don't know.
Rough. I think his 7-year plan was like.
You can't do that in the NFL though.
No, but I think what his plan was he like wanted them in contention. I think by year 7 was the year that he wanted them competing for a Super Bowl. And I read an article on it, so I can't speak to it too much. It was just briefly I saw it in an article, but it was more so indicating that similar to what he told us, where this is what you hired me for. Going into that's what he told them. He's like, this is the way it's going to be. And, you know, with the NFL, yeah, kind of like y'all said, can't do that in the NFL because it's just instant gratification and, you know, heads are on the chopping block quickly in the NFL. So, and just sometimes, even if that was the case, even if he was a bad NFL coach, that happens sometimes. Some college coaches are better, you know, working with the kids than they are, you know, working in the NFL. So it's just the nature of the beast. Saban didn't do well in the NFL either.
I still see the same guy, though, because he's funny. He still goes to bat for his players, because I was wearing a Bears pullover at one of the press conferences. He's like, I love your shirt, DJ Moore.
No, yep. Speaking of, DJ Moore's killing it, but yeah, they got robbed by the Bears badly.
All right, folks. Appreciate you being here. Huskers Live at the Voice of College Football. Again, stay with us here for the next few weeks as we figure out days and times each week. But we should be, you know what? We should be clear now that the college football playoff rankings, the final rankings come out Sunday. So we will figure out a time, whether that's back to our regularly scheduled Tuesday night.
That's what I'm used to.
And we can get back to it. That's right. That comes out on Sunday. So we are through the ranking shows. So that is in the books. All right, folks, we need to get moving here, but appreciate everyone jumping on board. And again, keep it locked in here. We've got a number of things that we're going to offer you here in the next few weeks and as we go forward. So a lot of exciting things here at the Voice of College Football. So lock it in. Justin Adams, Cheesy Corn Sports. What's going on there, Justin?
We actually have a stream in a couple of hours, just breaking down the Thursday night game, which was penalties galore, and our Sunday fantasy live streams. So Sunday's 2 hours before the games start.
What's going on with you this week, Greg?
Hey, just kind of wrapping things up for the year, you know, trying to catch up on some highlight reels from high school players, and kind of just gearing up for signing day. Mostly, we don't have a lot of contact until signing day, so
get ready for Monday too.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's going to be crazy.
I got to go back to my off-season routine where I'm constantly checking transfer portal and commits, like about every couple hours. I just keep clicking back and forth. Okay, got to check the commits, got to check the transfer portal.
You could probably dedicate all your time to keeping up with it this year, and you wouldn't be able to.
No,
it's going to be the Wild West this year.
But
at least we got a big weekend of football coming up to prey on. So looking forward.
Should be fun.
Starting tonight.
Yes. Oregon, Washington, and unless all the unbeatens win, it could be a little chaotic. Could cause the playoff committee to have to make some tough decisions. So that's what I'm rooting for.
Yep.
Mark, are you guaranteed an Iowa win over Michigan tomorrow?
Oh, sure, absolutely. I'm guaranteeing that.
All right,
for sure.
I feel
all
like
right, everyone. Actually, I'm going to be here at 6 p.m. Eastern time over on the main channel, taking your calls, leading us up to kickoff Oregon, Washington, and post game as well. Greg, thank you as always. Justin, appreciate you. We'll be back here next week, folks.